What's going on everyone, I'm Alex and today we are taking a look at the OnePlus One and the Meizu MX4 Pro. I was hoping that the Meizu MX4 Pro would replace my OnePlus One, but that didn't work out that well. Let's find out why. About a year and a half ago, not too many people would have bought a flagship device from China. However, the OnePlus One was introduced and it brought a low price and high-end specs. After that, the MX4 Pro arrived and it tried to improve on the already existing MX4. Let's take a look at these devices. So the OnePlus One has the sandstone black on the back here, even though it's made out of plastic, looks much nicer and looks very premium. On the Meizu here, we just have a cheaply looking plastic, nothing very exciting to look at. What the Meizu has more than the OnePlus One is the metallic frame on the exterior. However, it looks a bit plasticky and it kind of looks the same as the back cover. So it's very difficult to tell. You can only see it on the sides here where the metal actually shows. The OnePlus One still looks good. This one has like a chrome frame around here, so this is plastic, it's not actually metal. Both devices have 5.5-inch displays, however the display on the Meizu is a bit wider than the one found on the OnePlus One. Also, the display on the Meizu here, it's a 2K display and the resolution is absolutely stunning. This is one of the best displays that I have seen. So the display is one thing that the Meizu has better than the OnePlus One. However, that is one and probably the only thing that the Meizu has against the OnePlus One. The Meizu has a bigger battery than the OnePlus One, but to the big display, the 2K display, it's a bit difficult for the battery to keep up. I was not able to get very good results with the battery on the Meizu. With the OnePlus One I can go about 6 hours of screen time. On the Meizu here you can barely go 3 hours. It is close to impossible to go for 3 hours. So that is very disappointing considering the battery on the Meizu here, it's bigger than the one on the OnePlus One. Another plus for the Meizu, it's the button at the bottom here. So this is a fingerprint scanner which works absolutely excellent. I can compare it to the one found on the Apple devices, which is probably one of the best. So that is also something that the Meizu has over the OnePlus One. I wish they would incorporate a good fingerprint sensor on the OnePlus One's next version. With both these devices you can have on-screen buttons, so currently they're both using the buttons on the bottom. On the OnePlus One, even though you cannot see it because they don't light up very nicely, there are 3 buttons right here. Meizu was able to incorporate the 3 buttons into one, which is basically just one button. You press it once, it's a home button, you press it just slightly and then it becomes a return button. So that is really nice that you don't have all the extra buttons and you don't have to move your finger trying to reach the buttons. Both these devices run Android 4.4.4 unfortunately. That is a bit disappointing for both of them, but hopefully they will be updated soon. I know there are ROMs available for the OnePlus One, but I'm talking about the over-the-air update for Lollipop. I'm not sure when the Meizu is gonna get it, but Cyanogen just posted an announcement saying that they're in the final stages of development for that particular ROM. Due to the heavy skin that the Meizu is using, it's a bit slower than the OnePlus One. I find the OnePlus One much better. On both these devices you can choose themes. However, the themes on the OnePlus One are much easier to use because they're in English. With the Meizu here, well, everything is in Chinese, so you're basically gonna have to learn Chinese if you wanna use any themes. I mean, it's not that complicated to find, but everything is in Chinese versus the OnePlus One, where everything is in English, and it's much easier to customize and change everything the way you like it. The cameras on these devices, the OnePlus One is using a 13 megapixel sensor, which is a very good camera in many ways and in many lighting situations. The Meizu here, it's using a 20.7 megapixel sensor. However, I found that the Meizu here doesn't take all the pictures equally. Like, you expect the picture to come out good, but then it doesn't come out as good as you're hoping. So it is a bit of a hit and miss with the Meizu here. What the Meizu has that the OnePlus One doesn't have, it's a manual mode where you can basically change everything. So that kind of compensates for the camera that's not the greatest in auto mode. So you can take some great pictures with the Meizu, but I do find that the OnePlus One takes pictures constantly better. So you're expecting a picture to show up this way, and on the OnePlus One it will actually show up that way. With the Meizu it's a hit and miss. Some pictures look great, some not that great. The Np2 Scores on these devices, it's pretty similar, even though with the Meizu it loses the score every time you exit the Np2 app. It is about 44,000, so it is similar. During games and stuff like that, there is no difference in between these devices. If the multitasking would have worked as intended on the Meizu, it would have been much nicer to multitask than on the OnePlus One. So basically you just do this and then you select whatever app you want. However, I did find that it takes quite a bit to switch between apps, not necessarily now, but it's not consistent, and sometimes it changes apps fast, sometimes not that fast, depending how many apps you have open. With the OnePlus One, even though you have to move your finger all the way there so you can actually press the button, it always switches between apps in the same amount of time. So for that reason I prefer the OnePlus One, because it's always the same, it's constant, you don't have to actually hope that it will work good the time that you are trying to use it. The speakers on these devices, well, the Meizu here has only one speaker and the OnePlus One has two speakers. However, when you're holding the Meizu for any video, any game, anything, you tend to cover this speaker and you cannot hear the sound. You have the same issue with the OnePlus One, but you're covering only one speaker and the other one it's still open, so the sound still goes through. I found that typing on the Meizu here, it's much better. And much more consistent than on the OnePlus One. With the OnePlus One, it has a couple of touchscreen issues that I'm experiencing, and it's not that easy to type on it. So even though that typing it's easier on the Meizu and nicer to touch because the screen is a bit wider, the Meizu has a couple of bugs and the keyboard will just go down and there is no way of actually taking it up. You have to close the app and then open the app again. So considering that it's got all these bugs, I have to choose the OnePlus One again over it, even though the screen on the OnePlus One I absolutely dislike, and the touch sensitivity on it, it's just horrible. But for that reason, with all the bugs that the Meizu has, well, it is a bit difficult to choose the Meizu over the OnePlus One for typing. In conclusion, I hoped that I would replace my OnePlus One with this Meizu. However, due to the numerous bugs that this device has, I'm not able to do that, and after only 2 weeks of using it, I'm ready to give up and move back to my OnePlus One. The OnePlus One is not perfect either, but compare these two, the OnePlus One, it's definitely much better, and there are less bugs and the battery just lasts forever. And on the Meizu here, the battery, it's a very big disappointment. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.